in old buildings, or in what refers to buildings prior to 1970, especially those with traditional brick masonry, it is very common to find humidity by capillarity. This is due to the lack of a hydraulic barrier in the foundations. The foundations are not as is the style today, with colossal or reinforced concrete. Quite the contrary, it was used as a foundation. Stones buried under the walls or start the walls 50 centimeters below ground level. The first bricks are then laid on a bed of sand, which causes the wall to function as a wick for water. Then the humidity rises through its walls by capillary or hydrostatic action.
Of course, it is not that the architects or master masons did not take these problems into account. In fact, they did take precautions to deal with the humidity that rises from the ground. Firstly, the contact of the floor of the interiors of the houses with the ground was separated, building a kind of platform, jointed plank floors, raised about 40 centimeters from the ground.
With this, a chamber was obtained below the floor, through which air was run to dry the walls in those first centimeters. The walls below the floor would go without plastering, which facilitates the exit of humidity below the floor and not on it. The solution is very simple, but over time the owners of the houses decided to close those vents or fill those holes and install monolithic or ceramic floors. The air could no longer circulate under the walls and the humidity began to come out above the floor.
To realize if the house had a wooden floor at some time, we can take a look at the entrance of the house. Usually these were made with 2 or 3 steps, that is, from the level of the sidewalk the house was raised so that precisely the ventilation grill was located above the sidewalk. That is why it is common for houses with entrance stairs to have problems with paint peeling off the baseboard.
Very good, but then, how do you fix this?
Okay, let's stop beating around the bush. The truth is that there is no solution. What can be done is to do different treatments to the walls that range from infiltrations through electrolysis and paints. The truth is that no one to date, September 2022, has managed to create a magical paint or product for this problem.
This boy should be an honorary teacher of some university. He is a boss. The house where I live was built by an architect and engineer who studied at the donkey school. They filled it in a rice field and now the humidity rises as the house is made with blocks. I am removing the half of the block at floor level and replace it with a high-density foam block. Previously where the block was I put 4 coats of asphalt cement, Kiowa, and then I proceeded with foam, a bit of plaster, and voila, the game is done.
The most efficient solution that has been found is to cut the wall at ground level and make a waterproofing layer and resupport the wall above that layer. With this, the work that is used today in new buildings is done to prevent moisture from rising through the walls.
When the wall reaches the limit of its saturation and can no longer absorb any more water, dark spots begin to appear, chips. The atmosphere is soaked with humidity and can even destroy the walls because they are usually erosive salts. In addition to the respiratory problems that all kinds of humidity cause.
Among the possible causes of dampness due to capillarity are poor foundations, incorrect drainage, waterproofing of walls and foundations, contact with the level where groundwater is found, saturation of rainwater or breaks in underground installations they carry the water.
When the soil has excess moisture, it seeks to release it to the air or to any porous material that surrounds it. The foundations absorb this moisture, which continues to rise through the walls that make up your house. At the end of the road, this humidity becomes a problem both indoors and outdoors.
But there are many palliatives, definitive solutions, none. Well, flat out if they tell you that, start by distrusting. The dampness of the foundation is solved when the building begins to be built, and then it's too late. It's always late. At that time you should try to invest and ensure when building your house that sufficient precautions are taken to prevent moisture from rising up the walls. To use the best product, do not perform only one treatment and make sure to use 2 or more.
For example, waterproofing on the foundation, and then take some precautions to waterproof on the security. One course of masonry, bricks or blocks, or use the mortar from the first courses of the wall with an anti-humidity additive.
Fungi and mold appear on the ceiling and walls when the environment becomes very humid. For that, bleach or hypochlorite can be used. They kill microorganisms but not the outcrops of crystallized salt that come out from inside the wall. This is that as the water rises up the wall, as if it were a streetlight wick, salts and limestones arrive with it. These crystallize as the humidity dissolves in the environment.
The water evaporates, but the salts crystallize, or the bacteria and fungi reproduce.
There are 2 large groups of fungi or outcrops, those that are brownish to black in color and those that are white or yellowish. The first is due to humidity in the environment. It is very common in bathrooms and is not due to pathologies in the building, but rather to very poor ventilation or excess humidity in the environment. It is very common in winter when open flame heating systems are used, gas or fossil fuel stoves that produce flame. The other is due to construction errors or failures in the structure. It gets worse in winter or when it rains.
Capillary humidity flakes or flakes paints, breaks plaster, stucco, and plaster. This damage is not caused by the water itself. It is caused by the salts and minerals that the water that rises from the ground through the walls brings. When the water evaporates into the environment, these salts deflate, but when the water rises again with more salts, they swell again, and it is this mechanical action of repeatedly swelling and deflating that breaks even the hardest bricks from inside these, as if it were a wedge.
Surely this last part was not well explained, but it is those salts and minerals that make the base of the wall, if we chop it, flake off like dust. Bricks literally turn into flour. If this information has seemed interesting to you, we appreciate you sharing it on social networks, and if it is not enough for you, we have more information in other videos of this community. Here we only wanted to make a brief summary as a crutch for those who are new to this masonry thing. If you need more information about techniques, materials, additives, and new products, visit the suggested links or ask us in the comments.
Before you spend money or think about repairing damp, you'd better know how it occurs. Although the proposal sounds very logical, there are few times where time is given and a systematic analysis of what causes or aggravates the spots is carried out.
I propose a tour of the most common causes that affect our homes in relation to humidity. It will be enough to go through it together by clicking on the video suggested at the end.
We wish you twice as much as you wish us.
I see you in another video. Bye. Adios.
A kiss.